The rematch between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. is officially back on the table, reigniting one of boxing's most intense rivalries. After their first fight in July 2023, where Crawford dominated Spence with a brutal TKO, many thought the rivalry was over for good. However, Spence quickly exercised his contractual rematch clause, determined to prove that his poor performance was due to the extreme weight cut to 147 lbs. While Crawford initially dismissed any interest in a second fight, things have now taken a dramatic turn. As of April 2025, both fighters are publicly acknowledging that negotiations are in progress, with Spence aggressively calling out Crawford and claiming that he wasn't at full strength in their first fight. Spence has insisted that moving up to 154 lbs will make all the difference, arguing that he was drained in the first bout and never had a fair chance to show his true abilities. Crawford, on the other hand, sees this as nothing more than an excuse. He points to his complete domination in their first fight, where he knocked Spence down 3 times and outclassed him in every round. He has openly stated that no matter what weight the rematch happens at, the result will be the same, if not worse, for Spence. The trash talk has escalated, with both fighters engaging in heated exchanges across social media and live interviews. Fans are deeply divided. Some believe that Spence deserves another shot at redemption, and that the extra weight will make a significant difference, while others argue that Crawford simply exposed Spence's flaws and would dominate him again. Regardless of the weight class, the contract for their rematch initially stipulated that it would take place at 147 lbs unless one fighter provided written notice that they couldn't make the weight. Spence never officially submitted that notice, but has continued to push for the fight to happen at 154. This standoff has delayed the rematch, creating uncertainty for months. Meanwhile, Spence's health issues have only complicated matters. After undergoing eye surgery and dealing with a long recovery process, doubts about his ability to return to top form lingered. While Spence was on the sidelines, Crawford moved on and captured another title at 154 by defeating Israel Madrimov. At that time, Crawford showed little interest in the rematch, even outright dismissing the idea when reporters asked him about it. But now, with Spence ramping up the pressure and the boxing world buzzing about their unfinished business, Crawford is no longer shutting the door completely. The weight debate remains a key issue, but with talks intensifying and both fighters acknowledging that negotiations are happening behind the scenes, it seems inevitable that they will meet in the ring again. As tensions rise, the boxing community is bracing for another explosive showdown. The anticipation is fueled by the broader implications of this rematch, not just for Crawford and Spence's legacies, but for the sport itself. If Spence manages to win, he could rewrite the narrative and force a trilogy fight, setting the stage for one of boxing's greatest rivalries. If Crawford wins again, he will solidify himself as the definitive best of his era, eliminating any lingering doubts about his superiority. For now, all eyes are on both fighters as they prepare for what could be one of the biggest rematches in recent history. The question remains, will Spence's claims about the weight cut prove to be valid, or will Crawford once again show that he is simply on another level? Despite the intense buildup, a major roadblock remains: the financial terms of the rematch. The first fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. generated significant revenue, with both fighters earning career-high paydays. However, given the one-sided nature of their first encounter, Crawford now demands a significantly larger share of the purse, arguing that he is the undisputed A-side after his dominant victory. Spence, on the other hand, insists on a fair split, claiming that the rematch clause was agreed upon under specific financial terms that should still apply. This has led to a tense standoff in negotiations, with both camps refusing to budge. Spence's team argues that a fight at 154 lbs changes the dynamics, and that Crawford's marketability alone isn't enough to justify a lopsided split. Meanwhile, Crawford remains firm, stating that he already proved his superiority and that Spence should be grateful for the opportunity to get a second chance. While the financial dispute lingers, there are also concerns over Spence's condition. After his devastating loss to Crawford, many in the boxing world speculated whether Spence had permanently lost his elite form. His past injuries, including a serious car accident in 2019 and subsequent eye surgery in 2021, have raised doubts about his durability. Some critics believe that Spence's physical decline was exposed in the first fight and that no amount of weight adjustment will change the outcome of a rematch. Spence, however, remains adamant that his performance in the first fight was not reflective of his true ability. He claims that he struggled to make weight and that the effects of dehydration left him sluggish and unable to execute his game plan. In his mind, a fresh, well-hydrated version of himself at 154 lbs will be a completely different fighter. Whether this is true or simply wishful thinking is a question that only the rematch can answer. Adding another layer of intrigue is Crawford's recent move up in weight. Since defeating Spence, Crawford has not only remained active, but has also captured a title at 154 lbs by dismantling Israel Madrimov. This victory further solidified his reputation as one of boxing's most complete fighters and left little doubt that he can perform at a high level in the higher weight class. With this added experience, many believe that a rematch at 154 lbs could be even worse for Spence, as Crawford is now even more comfortable at the weight. If Spence thought size would be his advantage, Crawford's recent performance suggests otherwise. The more time that passes, the more it seems like Spence is fighting an uphill battle, both in negotiations and in the ring. The promotional aspect of the rematch is also generating headlines. In the lead up to their first fight, tensions were high, but there was still mutual respect between the two fighters. Now, the situation has become more personal. Spence has been vocal about feeling disrespected by the way Crawford has dismissed him, while Crawford has grown increasingly irritated by Spence's insistence that the first fight was an outlier. Their back and forth exchanges on social media have fueled excitement among fans, and the potential rematch is shaping up to be even bigger in terms of attention and hype. Both fighters have massive fan bases, and the debate over whether Spence can turn the tide or if Crawford will dominate again has divided the boxing community. Some analysts believe that Spence is simply past his prime and that Crawford has already broken his confidence. Others argue that Spence's determination, along with a move to 154 lbs, could lead to a completely different outcome. With so many factors at play, weight class, financial disputes, health concerns, and personal animosity, the rematch is becoming one of the most intriguing storylines in boxing. If the fight does happen, it will be a defining moment for both men. A victory for Spence would completely change the narrative and force a trilogy, while another win for Crawford would eliminate any doubts about his superiority and further cement his legacy. As the negotiations continue, fans eagerly await an official announcement, hoping that this highly anticipated rematch will finally be set in stone.